recording now. Just a heads up, it does not go ahead and record you at home. Did it say it was being recorded? Perfect. Thank you so much. I've got my screens in a different place tonight, so that was a little bit weird for me. Our goal tonight is to help provide you with enough information to help you start making some decisions about running START. We will not be able to go ahead and give you all of the information that you need, but we hope to get a good start there. Just to help navigate you around your screen a little bit, you'll see that Q&A function down somewhere on your toolbar. We will be using that at some point tonight. I would encourage you though to have maybe a sticky note, or sticky note doesn't show up on the background, a sticky note and a pen or something so that you can go ahead and maybe write your questions down. It's quite possible that your question will be answered later and you can take that sticky note and throw it away. Otherwise, you are welcome to use the Q&A feature. You can pop that Q&A feature open, type your question in there, and we will go ahead and handle those later in the evening. Having said all of that, Sel, it's all yours, brother.
Thank you, Dan. So we'll just dive right in because we have a very busy night ahead of us. So we'll try to be mindful of everybody's time, and we'll get started. So, like Mr. Alderson said, tonight is an overview for the Running Start program, and where we will be talking about who's eligible. We'll be talking about the Lake Stevens High School process. We'll give you every community college perspective. That's why we brought in some reinforcements. We will also give you a Running Start instructor perspective as well as a student perspective. And as Mr. Alderson said, that's probably the number one reason for this webinar, so you can get that perspective from this student herself. And last, we'll have the question and answer session at the end. Next slide. All right, okay, so we'll start with who's eligible. So in order to be a part of the Running Start program, you have to be a junior and or a senior standing. You have to have a current 2.5 cumulative GPA to place into English 101 and Algebra 2 B or higher, which is preferred and or recommended. You do not need to place into math. You only need placement for English 101. And later on in the later slides, Arantxa will be able to touch on this a little more in more detail if we need to. The AccuPlacer is also another way for you to place into English 101 or 102. And this time around, AccuPlacement will only test for math placement. Next question. So talking about the AccuPlacer test, the test locations and times, they have 3 at the college. You can either do it via Zoom. This is something new that came out of after COVID, so it's a good thing that came out of it. You can do it through Zoom. You can also do it via drop-in and in person, and also via prepaid with an in-person appointment. And you will do that through their website. And the cost for such test is $33. You can retake the test if for some reason you had a bad day or whatnot. You can retake it, and it will be only $11.24. Okay, now we move on to the Lake Stevens High School process. So the first thing you're going to need to do is to complete an online application and attach the required documents. Some of these documents could be your transcript. You can get that from us, from our register here at the high school, which will include your GPA. Once you do this, please allow Everett Community College 5 to 7 days, to process. I mean, they're very busy around this time. They get applications from all over, around the college. I mean, there are other schools that are also participating in this and work with them. So please be patient. After that, you're going to get an email from EVCC once they receive your application with instructions on the next steps. So you will just follow the next steps that they give you. Once you're admitted, you will then complete a mandatory, I'll say that again, mandatory online orientation with Everett Community College. After that, you are going to meet with your high school counselor. Each of you should know who your counselor is at this time. We just had registration a couple of weeks ago. Us, the counselors here, my other colleagues, we met with you guys, so you should know who your counselor is. And if you're not, we'll talk later. So you will meet with your counselor, sign their contract, which is part of the process for Lake Stevens High School. This contract will come from your high school counselor. So once you meet with them, they'll be able to share with you this contract. This contract is very important because the students as well as the parents go through the contract. It explains all of the things that are required for the Run and Start program, and you both have to sign it. So this is a requirement as well. You also will fill out the Run and Start enrollment verification form, and I'll go through. We'll see this slide later on, and I will explain what that form looks like and what it's about. And last, you will complete, and again, this is another mandatory. You will complete a mandatory entry advising with Everett Community College. So a few steps there, 6 total, but you can do this. Okay, so I was talking about meeting with your counselor, and this is just a little quick slide where you can see my colleagues, Ms. Ribley, Ms. Chilson, Ms. Wickland, and Stephanie Lewis. So you guys know who your counselor is. This is who you will be contacting in order to fill out your contract as well as your Run and Start enrollment verification form. Okay, here it is. This is a piece of a document, PDF, that you will become very familiar with every quarter, because you fill this out before every quarter, before fall, winter, and spring. This is called, we call it RSEBF for short, because I know Run and Start enrollment verification form could be really long. So we'll just call it that, RSEBF. You will be really familiar with this by the time you graduate. So this form, you must fill it out with your parents. You will meet with your counselor. We'll go over it with you. If you could see the form, the top part, it says student. So that part you will fill out, last name, first name, your home phone, your cell phone, email address, and the college, in this case, will be Everett Community College. That's the part that goes for you and your parents. Us, the counselors, the middle part is more for us. The middle part will be filled out by us along with you, because we'll be meeting with you. We will be going over this form with you, but that's our part. We sign it, we print our name, we date it. Then at the bottom, that's the signature part of it. That's where you and your parents sign it. And this is the form that you will send to Everett Community College. And again, before each quarter, you need this. Without this, there's no way you can enroll for classes. So again, you will have nightmares or dreams about this form. Okay. Next slide. Okay, so this is another one that you will also become very familiar with. I suggest you put this form, you print it out, you can come get it from us. You can also print it from the website, from Lake Stevens High School website. This has the high school courses and the college courses on the right. So this one is called the equivalency chart. This will help you and your counselor when you both sit down and go over, your graduation requirements for the high school and your graduation requirements for the college. Because as a Run and Start student, you will be able to live here with your high school diploma as well as your associate's degree if you're full-time. And we'll talk more about that in later slides. So again, this is another one. You will want to print it out. We'll give it to you. Put it on your wall, tape it on your wall, on your notebooks, or even on the fridge, because you will become familiar with this one as well. Next slide. Okay, so more important information, application priority deadlines. And again, once we post this slides on our website, these are live links. You will be able to click on them and it will take you right to the EVCC website. And I always recommend that you guys, students, parents, or students, because you're college students, hopefully when you attend Run and Start, that you check the deadlines, because things change, life happens, uh, so always be looking out for that. And again, here it goes: the fall, winter, and spring. For example, for the fall, the priority deadline is May 2nd, and see, classes start September 20th. For the winter, the priority deadline is October 11th, and classes starts January 3rd. And for the spring, which is going on right now, students, they're enrolling. They just finished enrolling on February 18th, and the classes start April 4th. I'm sorry. And again, down at the bottom, there's another link with the important dates and registration dates. Again, I cannot say it enough. Keep checking that. It will be your responsibility to know when those deadlines are. And I wanted to direct your attention to the chart on the right, where it is very important that you take a look at this and see that, for example, there's the high school semesters. You have high school semester 1, semester 2. And if you can see on the yellow squares, throughout the year, there's fall quarter, winter quarter, and spring quarter. So keep in mind that the dates don't align. So this is something that we always tell students and parents to take into consideration, because maybe your vacations don't align, so that you might have to, change that. The semesters don't align, and again, those are things to consider. And down at the bottom, you can see that if you attend high school, you end up with 6 high school credits. But if you do run and start, you do 3 quarters, you will end up with 9 high school credits. That's another thing to consider. Next slide, please. 24, I have this slide as a reminder. Again, most of you already know that you need 24 credits in order to graduate from Lake Stevens High School. And as long as, if you decide to do run and start for the next 2 years as a junior and a senior, if you're full-time, you should be able to accomplish this, no problem. Again, you will be meeting with us, with your counselor, and going over every quarter, before every quarter, and we will make sure that you take all the classes required. So no worries there. But just as a reminder, 24 is the magic number. Okay, this is a little bit another good slide that explains about part-time versus full-time, because we do have some students, as if that's here with us tonight, that she's full-time student, but there are some students that choose to do part-time. So in a nutshell, in order to be considered a full-time Run and Start student, if you're taking 3 classes there, you are considered full-time. And versus, being part-time, you can see in the table on the right, it says if you take 2 college classes, you can take 2 classes with us. You can take 3 classes at the high school and 2 classes at the college. And again, this could get tricky. It's tricky if you choose to do part-time, but don't worry, you will still meet with your counselor, and we will make a plan. So don't worry about that too much right now. And yeah, we'll have time for that, to meet with with your counselors and go over that, whether or not you're going to do part-time or full-time. Next slide. Okay, so we also wanted to include a sample schedule, because I'm a visual kind of guy, and I think most people are. So this is what a full-time Run and Start student schedule would look like. And remember, the classes at EVCC are not Monday through Friday typically. So be thoughtful of that when you're scheduling your classes. So for instance, in your junior year, you will take 3 classes there for the fall. And for the winter, you will do the same, 3 classes. Spring, same thing, 3 classes. So this is what a typical schedule would look like. And it might look different for other students, but this is just a sample. Okay, now here next we have a part-time student, and what it could look like at their schedule. So it looks like this same student could be taking only 2 classes in the fall, 2 classes in the winter, and 2 classes in the spring, which will allow them to take 2 classes at Lake Stevens High School and have their tuition still paid at Running Start. So, and just remember one thing I have here at the bottom: you cannot schedule EVCC classes for days and times that have a conflict with Lake Stevens High School. In other words, if you have first and second period here with us, that's in the morning. So you don't want to schedule a class at the college at the same time. So remember that if you choose part-time. Okay, another important one that we come down to: communication. Again, this, you will hear this a lot by all of us here on the panel today and tonight, and whenever you meet with your counselors. Communication is key. So we have in place here at Lake Stevens High School a few ways for you to stay connected with Lake Stevens, and so that you can still feel like a Viking, even though you will be doing college classes. So there are these ways to get connected. Skyward is always a good way to stay connected. Parents, you can also check that. We have a Running Start Google Classroom that you will be a part of once you in the fall, once you decide and you've completed the process. I will send you the link and the password and all the things that you need in order to be a part of that classroom. The Lake Stevens High School website, it's always also a good resource. We also have a remind text message resource that we also use in order to remind you. So as you can see, we have many ways to keep that communication open. And again, we always ask that from the student first, because there have been some cases where a Running Start student is attending Everett Community College and they ghost us and we don't hear from them. And then, weeks later, a month later, next quarter, we find out that, they dropped out or they haven't been attending classes. So parents, talk to your student, because that's one thing I've seen happen, not too much, but I've seen it happen. Those horror stories are real. So again, communicate, students, please. Next question, or no, next slide. Okay, so we come now to give you the EVCC perspective, and this is where our wonderful Aranza Gallegos will take over and give you guys, a little bit of their perspective. So please take it away, Ms. Gallegos.
Yes, thank you, Sal. And thank you for all that great information. I'm definitely going to steal the student sample schedules for my information sessions. I think that was amazing. Again, welcome all of you for being here today. There are just a few points that I want to touch on about students participating in the Running Start program. One of the main things is to highlight that Running Start is a tuition-free program. So what that means is that the cost of the class will be covered by your school district, essentially. They're the ones that will pay the bill at the end of each quarter. And the reason why I really want to highlight this is because there is a myth that Running Start is completely free, and that's not the case. While covering the cost of the class is an amazing opportunity and an amazing benefit for students, there are still some program costs like class and student fees, textbooks, supplies, transportation. If you want to park at Everett, we have parking permits for that. So those are things to sort of keep in mind, and they do vary by student, and it varies by the type of classes a student takes. So if you're someone that is interested in only doing online classes, you might not have as many fees as a student who does in-person classes. So definitely something that you need to consider, and something that you can always talk with the Running Start office so that you can get a little bit more information. We're not going to tell you you're going to owe exactly $130, because that's just not some information we can sort of nail down, but we really want to emphasize that. And we also offer the EVCC Running Start fee waiver. It's actually a state fee waiver. So if you decide to go to Edmonds or Cascadia, or like Washington Tech, they will also have a fee waiver, and the fee waiver will cover the cost of class and student fees on college level courses, because Running Start only covers the tuition on college level courses. So anything that has the number 100 and above. So with that being said, you're taking these classes, which means that you will officially start a college transcript. I like to joke, and Artie heard me say this yesterday, but it's not a joke, that that you will have a much easier time changing your legal name than you will changing a grade on a college transcript. A college transcript does follow you everywhere, and that's not, I'm not saying this to scare you, but just to let you know that something as official as a college transcript is something to take very seriously. And so if you are ever in need of any sort of support that's academic or just student focused, the college does provide a variety of services like the tutoring center and our writing center, and even our own faculty, so that they're able to support you. And your high school counselors are also there as well. So part of participating in the Running Start program is sort of taking on the student responsibility and a lot of independence. When you start participating in a dual credit program like Running Start, we do consider you college students. Even though you might be 16 or 17 years old, we are under the assumption that you have gone through the whole entire application process. You signed your contract with your high school, and with every single intent of participating and taking on responsibility as a college student. So please take this in mind when you go back after this session and you start having conversations with your parents and with your high school counselors. So that kind of goes into our third bullet point about college communication and FERPA. Sorry, mom and dad. So when it comes to communicating about student records, we actually only communicate directly with the student, and that is because of the FERPA, which is a federal policy that only allows us to speak directly with students because we are protecting student records. Because Running Start is a state program, we are able to speak with our high school counselors about students' registration, if there are any missing information, or maybe they need to know some placement. We're able to disclose that information, but we don't disclose progress report cards. That's not something that actually happens in higher education. So your counselors will not know your final grades until the end of the quarter. We will not know your final grade until the end of the quarter. And if there's ever anything that a parent might need from the college, we really cannot disclose that information to the parent. It does have to come directly from the student. So communication is key, as Sel pointed out. Students, please be very transparent and honest with your parents and your high school counselors. Please do not ghost your high school counselors because they're really trying to support you in everything. Our priority and our main goal is to ensure that you are going to graduate from high school. And the best way to do that is to communicate with everyone that's involved in your educational goals. We do have some students who decide to challenge themselves academically and pursue an associate's degree. It is definitely possible to earn an associate's degree by the time you graduate from high school. We have over 200 Running Start students at every community college that achieve this goal. In order to do this, you do kind of have to be a full-time Running Start student or have accumulated sufficient college and high school credits and participate in Running Start. So there's various ways to be able to earn this. And one of the benefits of Running Start is that you're going to be able to talk with our entry advisors and program advisors. So they're going to be able to map that out with you, and your high school counselors will have sort of an idea of what that could look like. But please note that when it comes to talking about your college degree, the EVCC faculty is who you need to talk to. And when it comes to graduating with a high school diploma, your high school counselors are the ones that you need to go back to your high school and have that conversation. But it is definitely an amazing opportunity for students to be able to earn an associate's degree. Those who do earn an associate's degree, that allows them to transfer over their credits, particularly in the state of Washington, and get either third year standing or given that bump to be able to enter the program of their choosing. We've definitely had students who graduate from high school, have their associate's degree, and are already at the what is it called? The Paul Allen Computer Science School at UW. I have like 2 or 3 that did that last year. So that's definitely one of the perks of earning an associate's degree. Please note that half of our seniors, when they graduate from high school, they're also graduating with a ton of college credits under their belt. So it's whatever serves the needs of the student and whatever it is that they choose to do. And I'll just sort of end my portion of the presentation by saying that students who participate in Running Start are going at a much different pace than the students who participate in AP classes or college in the high school classes at their high school. Our quarter system is 10 weeks. That means that a student is earning high school and college credit in just 10 weeks as opposed to the timeline of September to June. And so with this challenge of taking college courses at the community college means that you're gonna take on so much more responsibility and independence, and you're gonna have to be able to advocate for yourself and making sure that you develop the skill of time management. That is, I would say, next to communication, time management is the greatest skill that you will need to sort of define in your time in Running Start. And maybe Eve will be able to give you some tips and tricks on how to do that. Thanks, Elle.
Thank you, Anissa. Next slide, please, Dan. Okay, now we're going to the perspective right from an instructor. So Artie, if you please, take it away.
Thanks, Mr. T. And Aranza, it's great to be back on Zoom with you. We were in person last night, and I'm so missing that beautiful high school you all have out in Lake Stevens, and picturing us all in the gymnasium, or what do you call it? The pack? Is it the pack? Excellent. Phew. And one of the things that I love about having the opportunity to talk with you is about reinforcing the choices that you have. You have a beautiful school, and you have committed counselors, committed principal, and your principal. Is Leslie still your principal? Yes. So you have such wonderful counseling and supportive systems. So providing this opportunity for you to learn about more choices is just astounding. And that's the whole premise of Running Start, is to give you more opportunities to choose other classes. So for example, we have 8 different foreign languages that we offer at Everett Community College. We have 3,000 different courses. And so giving you more opportunities is one of the powerful attributes of this program. And yet another choice that you could do is the Ocean Research College Academy. So I want to tell you briefly about ORCA, and most importantly, we have an information session this Thursday night in person at our campus at the Port of Everett at the Waterfront Center. So if you know where Scuttlebutts is, for burgers only, of course, for the students here, come upstairs from there and meet the rest of our faculty, meet our students, and hear about the research that we do at ORCA. And what we have done at ORCA is taken all the core gen ed requirements that you need at Lake Stevens, as well as the Associates of Arts and Sciences degrees. And every time you go to a college, or every time you come from middle school to high school, you get to take what we call your general education requirements. And those are math, science, English, and history. And every time you go someplace, you get to do those. In college, we call them the general university requirements, or for Everett Community College, they're the social sciences, humanities, and natural sciences. And what we've done at ORCA is woven all of those together in a research-based framework where students stay together as a community for 2 years. Unlike our traditional Running Start population, where I'm teaching a class right now, I have 2 Running Start students that I know of in that class of 20. At Orca, all the students are Running Start students. So they are all similarly aged. Many come from Lake Stevens. I think they still continue to be our biggest draw high school, Aranza. Is that correct, at Running Start? And part of it is because they're providing information like this night for you tonight. And so if you have an interest in STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, and you're interested in doing Running Start, I would strongly advise you to learn more about Orca because we too have computer science majors at UW. That's a direct admit program. They admit you from high school, potentially directly into the college, as well as we have students obviously studying biology, nursing, you name it, our students have majored in it when they have graduated from Orca. And they take the research that they do with us to help distinguish them at some of these highly competitive universities, of which computer science and University of Washington is one of those programs right now. So being able to engage deeply in research, learn in an applied academic setting, have a community of support, and most importantly, the same core instructors that are going to work with you is my very biased opinion about the power of the Orca program. But I also want to share with you, as I mentioned, I'm teaching a main campus class right now, and I have taught everything from high school to university. And I love the community college student, and obviously I love the Running Start students. And what this opportunity provides for you is to activate your agency. So you have tremendous opportunities in front of you, and you can choose to do them. One of the core differences that I remember when I taught high school compared to when I teach in the community college is I give a syllabus at the beginning of the year that covers the 10 weeks that Aranza mentioned, and I don't constantly remind you of what's due. It's my expectation that you know what's due and it's when it's due. And we're going to discuss many things that you have prepared outside and brought to class. We're going to analyze data, and we're going to apply all that conceptual understanding that you're maybe working on outside of class. And in mathematics, the pace in math is one of the things that I see students struggle with. When you have an entire high school year, and a few of my dear friends are math teachers at high school, and this is how a math class goes that they tell me about. You come in and you answer questions from the homework the night before, and you spend 10 to 15 minutes going over the homework. Then you learn some new material for the next 15 to 20 minutes, and then you spend the remainder of your class going over answers and questions you may have for that new material. That is not how a collegiate math class works. The pace is much quicker. We're not reviewing, we're expecting you to do, and most importantly, we expect you to come to office hours or ask questions on your own time. And every college instructor that I know wants to help students, but we are focused on the students being the ones who ask us the questions. And so just keep that in the back of your mind. And I know that it can be intimidating. When I was an undergraduate, going to office hours of someone was pretty scary. And so we try to make ourselves really approachable. But the students that have the most success are going to be the ones that put themselves out there and are not afraid to ask questions. And so students, that's my charge to you, is don't be afraid to ask. Put yourselves out there. No one is going to not answer your question. We're all so excited when somebody comes to ask us a question. You'll all probably explain more than you wanted to know because you asked, and just really appreciate that opportunity when you bring something to us. And so with all of this student choice that we've identified, there's also a tremendous amount of responsibility on the shoulders of the students. And so making the choice, finding out as much information, relying on your parents to have a conversation about what is the best pathway for you, how do you learn best, are you ready for the autonomy that Aranza asked about? And parents, are you ready to give your student the freedom to be autonomous, to function in the college setting, and to be ready to do and make choices, and sometimes the consequences that go with that choices. Those are all the things that stick in our mind is when a student struggles. 98% of the students doing Running Start do really, really well. But it's heart-wrenching for us when a student struggles, when jeopardizing high school graduation is a potential from failing to thrive in the classes at the college. So students and parents, talk deliberately about your focus. Are you ready to let go? Are you ready for them to launch into their academic career with the permanency of the transcript, with the autonomy of being a college student? And just talk deliberately with your students. And most importantly, do what you're doing right now. Find out more information from the people with whom you surround yourself. Ask your high school counselor, ask Eve, ask Mr. Alderson, ask Aranza, and ask me what our perspective is. And what I love about Lake Stevens is they support their students holistically, and they will tell you if they think that you're ready for this. And parents, just mobilize. Every college instructor that I know is scared to death of parents. I don't know why, because we can't answer your question about your students' progress. We can all, Aranza and I can always answer questions about programmatic issues or details or any of those deadlines, but we can't talk about whether your student is there in class. Aranza is not going to know. And you are more than welcome to have a conversation with the instructor. You just have to have the student present, and the student has to give us permission in order to do so. So I so appreciate your time and interest in the program, and most importantly to Mr. T and Mr. Alderson for providing this opportunity. And I'm so excited to hear the student perspective from Eve. So thank you very much. And we're going to stick around to answer questions at the end.
Thank you so much, Artie. And yeah, like you mentioned, a lot of these Running Start students are successful, and we have one right here on the panel. So Eve, take it away.
Hi everyone, thank you so much for having me here. So like you guys, I chose Running Start because I saw it as a chance to get a leg up in my education and just like start my college career and start getting those credits. And I thought it would definitely be a huge help. And so I was like super excited, especially since it had a lower cost. I was like, oh my gosh, perfect opportunity. So some of the pros and cons, well, some of the pros, I really actually enjoyed getting to know the college community and getting to understand how the class structure worked. And that really, I think it's really going to help when I switch into full-time college outside of like high school and just start my college career. Going on with like work and everything, I feel like getting to know how the class schedule or class structure works is like a perfect opportunity so that I can just plan myself and how my life will work around that. My one biggest con would be the amount of homework in on top of sports was a little bit hard, and it wasn't really okay. Let me correct myself. It wasn't really the homework itself. It was more I did not plan everything properly. I had to kind of just get used to it. But after I was used to it, everything was just pretty simple. And it is a lot of homework because the classes are a lot quicker. It's 10 weeks instead of quite a few months. But once you do get used to it, it isn't as bad as it seems. It sounds scarier than it really is. And I am a full-time Running Start student. So sometimes with being a Viking, sometimes it was difficult to just get the connection of like the social life through the high school. But the Google Classroom that Mr. Hernandez has definitely helped me feel connected like to like different activities that the school was having. And I was really excited to be able to do that. So thank you, Mr. Hernandez. And I also joined a club through the high school on top of some sports. And so that just helped my social connection and me feel like I'm more part of the school. Because at first I kind of felt a little bit distant before all the clubs started getting started up. But once I did that, it definitely helped the social connection. So advice for students, and this can be for parents also, is make time for yourself. With all that homework and like trying to stay socially connected, sometimes I would get really burnt out and just I didn't take time to just sit and watch TV, because when I did, I didn't realize how much just a meaningless TV show meant to me, just to like decompress and de-stress, it really, really helps. So if you could just like do an hour to just sit on your phone, scroll through some like social media for like do nothing, or just watch a meaningless TV show or even a comedy, make yourself smile, it really, really makes a difference on your mental health. Some advice for parents and students, you girls definitely benefit for this. Everett Community College, I didn't know this at first, but I was so happy when I did learn it. They rent out Chromebooks and hotspots and laptops. I think the laptops, I remember correctly, were $20, but the Chromebooks I know are free. They do it per quarter, and that definitely helped because I was worried about like having to buy an expensive computer that I'm not tech savvy, so I don't know how to start those up. So I was really worried about like having which one's proper, like which one would be too expensive, which one's too cheap. So just to have Chromebook I'm familiar with that like with like Stevens Chromebooks was really nice, and to have it for free, and just you get Chromebook charger with it. It's just like Stevens, and I really, really appreciated that. And I also learned that Canvas is actually one of the #1 ways that professors communicated with me, and where they posted most of their assignments. And I didn't know that at first, so I thought I'd share it with you guys because it definitely came in handy to learn. I was like, oh, awesome. So, and I'll be here for questions. And I would totally do Running Start. I absolutely love it, and the help it has done for just understanding life. And it actually freed up my schedule so much. I only, like they said before, I only have classes Tuesdays and Thursdays. I have an online class in the morning, and in the afternoon I have an in-person class, and the rest of my week is homework and just free time. And I really enjoy just being able to just hang out with friends more and do all the homework during the day. So yeah, do it. I love Running Start. You guys should totally do it.
Thank you so much, Eve. I mean, that was priceless right there, priceless. I mean, for this next slide, I mean, you've touched on all most of these points that I've included in this slide. I mean, you touched on the pros and cons. So, you know, some of the benefits, I will go over that real quick. You know, your associate's degree, Ms. Gallegos also touched on this. You can get your associate's degree and a high school diploma at the same time. You can save money, parents, right there. That's one of the #1 reasons for parents save money in college tuition. The flexible schedule, Eve just mentioned, the adult atmosphere, the social life that Eve also touched on. Independent, she touched on that. So that illustrated that, you know, perfectly. Another benefits, you get the 9 high school credits per year at the college versus the 6 year at the high school, which takes me to the right side. The things to consider, you know, one of them being, you know, you got to keep a 2.0 GPA. For those of you who, you know, if you struggle one quarter, you got to keep a 2.0 GPA. You know, you have some mandatory classes and student fees, transportation, and some scheduling constraints. Again, for some, it could be, you know, a benefit for Running Start could be the adult atmosphere and the social life, but you know, in contrast, it could be the opposite for some other folks. Another things to consider, FERPA, you know, the responsibility and communications on the student, not the parent. And one last thing that I listed on here is that you only get 6 credits per year if you stay at the high school. But that will still get you to graduation though. So again, thank you, Eve. Thank you, everybody. Ms. Gallegos, Ms. Niven, Artie, and Dan. Thank you so much for being here, you know, and making this night possible. Attendees, families, students, parents, thank you so much. And this brings us to the last part of tonight, Q&A session section of the webinar. So Dan, how should we, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, thank you. So folks, while you are possibly entering some of those questions, transferring them from your sticky note or your pad to the question and answer section, again, that's down there in the bottom on your toolbar somewhere. The Q&A looks like a couple of chat bubbles. While you're doing that and those are pouring in, panelists, if you see a question that you'd like to answer live, go ahead and click that. We'll hand that to you in just a minute. But families, hopefully you're here because you're trying to figure out if Running Start is the right fit for you. And I'm not just an administrator here at the school, I'm a parent of students. 3 of my kids have either done full-time or part-time Running Start, and my 4th one chose not to do Running Start because Running Start isn't the fit for everybody. If you're a sophomore who's considering Running Start, and after tonight's conversation with Eve and with these fabulous folks from EVCC and Mr. T, you and your parents decide that, hey, this may not be a fit for me yet, that's okay. Remember that the key word there is yet. And you can always go ahead and consider it in the following year, in your senior year, or you can even do a part-time. Our job is, like I said at the beginning tonight, is to just be able to provide you enough information to help you start coming to that decision. So having said that, I see that we have lots and lots of questions in the Q&A. So I'm going to stop sharing, Mr. T, if that's okay, so we can kind of look at each other again. And all right, so first question, Isabella wants to know, the link for this form is broken at EVCC. Will this be updated? Aranza, can we tag that to you, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for letting us know that the link was broken. We have the form on 2 sections of our webpage. One is under the Running Start student resources and forms, and the other is in our how to apply and register page. So it looks like that is a page we need to update it, and we will update it tomorrow morning.
Perfect, thank you. And while you're at it, the next question is from Rosa, who asked, where can we find the EVCC application? I assume on the website, EVCC website, or is it through the high school? Ron, so would you grab that as well, please?
Yeah, definitely. So to find the Everett Community College Running Start online application, you do have to go to our EVCC Running Start webpage. The Running Start application is actually different than the general EVCC application. The reason being is that we need to take a look at your high school transcripts or high school test scores, so documentation for placement. So if you think you've applied, but you've never uploaded documents, it was probably the wrong one. That's perfectly fine. Just go to the EVCC Running Start webpage and you will find the link to our application, and make sure to have all your documents ready to upload.
Awesome, thank you, Aranza. Artie, would you answer Uriah's question? My student doesn't drive. Does LSHS offer any sort of transportation to and from the high school and EVCC?
That's a great question. And unfortunately, it's in that free-ish category that you get the privilege of paying for transportation to and from the college. I'm not well versed in the community transit routes, but there is a stop right at Everett Community College that hopefully you could map from community transit from Lake Stevens to Everett. But no transportation, unfortunately. Awesome. And you get to pay for books too.
Thank you. And as a parent of former Running Start students, one of my kiddos had to take the bus for a while, and it was, sorry, the public transportation, and it was not amazing, but they made it. The next question I'll go ahead and answer. Does the high school, Rosa asked, does the high school not loan Chromebooks out for Running Start students? Rosa, the answer to that is yes, we absolutely do. You're able to go ahead and have a Chromebook from the high school, but I'm excited to hear that there's also a program out there at EVCC. And next question, Kathy wants to know the biggest difference between taking classes at EVCC versus AP classes or college and the high school classes at LSHS. Aranza?
Great question. So I would say there are a lot of differences, but one of the differences is that at Everett Community College, we offer over 70 programs and I think over 2,000 classes. Whereas at the high school, you have amazing AP teachers and college and the high school teachers, but you're very limited in the type of classes that you are going to be able to choose from. And you also have to be registered at the high school in a class that is eligible for the AP exam or the college and the high school credit. Lake Stevens, I would say, is very fortunate to have a variety of dual credit options, and there's a lot of college and the high school classes to choose from. But if you want to take engineering, that's going to have to be done, I would say, at EVCC or another community college. Or if you want to take, ceramics, sorry, I don't know the Lake Stevens schedule off of the top of my head, but it's much more about the class options. And again, as we mentioned earlier, students are able to accrue more credit through the Running Start program because of the quarter system. If you're currently a ninth grader, you can actually get much more credit now because college and the high school opened up to the 9th grade students. But again, it does depend on whether or not you are in a class at the high school that can lead to credit through the AP exam or through college and the high school.
Awesome. Thank you, Artie. The next question is, Kathy asks, can a full-time Running Start student still be part of the band and its community? Artie, you said you'd like to answer that for us. Go ahead.
I would, because you get to do band once in your life, and we don't have band at Everett Community College for Running Start. And almost every high school I know, and I hope this is the same, band is 0 or first period. Is that right?
We
No.
do have it. We do have a 0 period. A couple
Okay.
has bands, but our other offerings are later in the day-ish.
Okay, so if you want to do both and be part-time or full-time, you can actually take 3 classes at the college and 1 class at the high school and still be under your tuition coverage. And it just takes some really savvy planning on your part to be able to access the band class. And if you're into band, do it, because I don't play the trombone anymore, and I haven't for 35 years since I was in high school. So.
Awesome. Thank you, Artie. Haley asks, if I'm in pre-calc currently and last year finished taking English 101 through college and the high school, will I need to take the placement test? Arancia?
Sorry, I was going through the questions. I had to find it. If I'm in, you will not need to take the placement test. If you have participated in college and the high school, mind you that if we were to place you into a higher math class like Math 151, which is Calculus 1, and it's right after college pre-calculus, we will need to see that you actually registered and paid for the college credit. Same with English 101. In order for us to place you into English 102, which is the next class in the sequence, we will need to see that you registered for the class. That being said, part of our application does ask the question of, did you participate in college and the high school? So we're going to be able to look up your registration or unofficial transcript. If you participated in the EVCC college and the high school program, you are still going to have to upload a copy of your high school transcript, just so we can make sure that everything is in order. But for the most part, students who are currently in pre-calculus or have completed English 101 through college and high school do not need to take the placement test. And it's really just transcripts, college and high school.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next question from a guest says, what GPA should you have in order to apply for Running Start? Artie?
So we want to see for placement a minimum of a 2.5 in your comprehensive grades. And I will share with you, I spent a lot of time talking with university transmission, and every college admission person I know uses grades as an indicator of your work ethic. So if you are planning on recovering credits at Running Start to build grades, that's probably not the best approach for you. So we want to see you having strong grades, and because of the pace, we want to see that you're academically ready. So again, talk with your parents and your counselors. Are you ready for the autonomy that you are self-motivated to do the work? So we don't limit it with a GPA other than for placement, but I would want you to want to see you earning higher than a 2.5.
Awesome. And just looking at the time, folks, I want to be thoughtful. We told you that we would be here for an hour. We started about 3 minutes late. We have about 7:28. If you have gotten what you need from us and you are ready to tap out, please feel free to tap out. We still have, I'm seeing 19-ish questions in the Q&A. I'm committed to sticking around until those questions are cleared. Sel, I love you, brother. I think you are as well. Aranza, Artie, and Eve, you're just giving us time. So, okay, perfect. So we are willing to stay here and go ahead and answer these questions. But again, if you've gotten what you needed, we deeply appreciate your presence here tonight. And we're going to keep rolling through until we get these done. The next question, Mr. T, Dakota wants to know, a lot of the links in the slideshow looked really helpful. Is there a place we're able to access them outside of this meeting?
Yeah, thank you for that question. We will actually be uploading this the webinar and the slideshow on our website, and that should be uploaded sometime tomorrow or the next day. So yes.
Awesome, beautiful. And Klaparik wants to know, do students have to take the AccuPlacer, or will their high school grades transcripts be enough for placement? Thank you. Arance, would you grab that, please?
Definitely, great question. And yes, your high school transcripts should be enough for placement. Again, if you have at least a 2.5 cumulative GPA, that will give you the college English placement. We look at high school math grades a full year, so 2 semesters. And as long as you have a C+ or better, we will be able to give you a form of math placement. Now, if you, for some unknown reason, have a grade below I would say a C+ in math, then that might prompt us to ask you to take the AccuPlacer math placement. But for the most part, 98% of students are able to place just using their high school transcript.
Beautifully done. Thank you so much. Teresa wants to know how the tutoring works at EVCC. Is this a free service? Arance, again, please.
It is. Our tutoring center is free for all of our Everett Community College students, including Running Start students. Students do have to be registered in classes, and the tutoring center staff will tutor you in the classes that you're currently registered in. So if you're someone that's like ambitious, but you're not in engineering, you're not going to get tutored in engineering. Additionally, we do offer tutoring both virtually and in person.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Rishi is asking, can we see the comparison of AP credits versus Running Start credits per year? And Rishi, just I'm gonna go ahead and grab this one. Rishi, there's a bit of a difference. So AP classes AP class taking the test doesn't get you college credit unless you get a 3 or greater. So the number of credits that a student could accumulate by taking AP classes here at the high school and taking the AP test and passing the AP test with a 3 or greater is, generally speaking, far fewer than what a kiddo could get just by going through Running Start. Now, if the AP class is partnered with a college in the high school course here through Lake Stevens High School, you could pay for the credit for the college and the high school, get the high school or get the college credit and the high school credit at the same time. Artie, I see that you had wanted to answer that as well. Is there something you'd like to?
That's exactly what I would have said.
And Rishi, if that doesn't answer the question, feel free to go ahead and pop it back in the bottom, or you and I can connect a little bit later and I'll try and get something more clear. I appreciate it. Dakota wants to know, are summer courses available for Lake Stevens High School students to take for more credit? Artie, would you grab that?
You bet. If you want to pay tuition, you bet. Running Start does not cover the summer quarter, but students, we have a fairly small percentage that take classes in the summer, and you get to pay $515 per 5 credit class. Is that right, Aranza? 515, 520.
570.
70.
Inflation. All right. Jose wants to know, are math and English the only courses that need placement tests? Does physics need a placement test? Aranza, would you get that for us, please?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. So the introductory classes like Introduction to Physics, Introduction to Chemistry, Introduction to Biology, those courses actually only require placement in math and English. So it could be a placement into Math 96, English 98, or English 101. So the introductory courses will require that math and English. But as you move on further into more advanced courses, then what those the prerequisites will involve like completing Physics 1 or completing Physics 2. So that's when it gets to a much more higher level sort of and very specialized type of placement. But all the introductory courses that you might be taking your first year or your first quarter will just need to be satisfied with English and math placement.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Artie, Emily wants to know if they can still apply for the ORCA program even though they are a junior.
That's a great question, Emily. And yes, you can still apply. What we're going to look for, so come to our info session on Thursday or later in April. What we're going to look for is, number one, your commitment to the program, because we are admitting students for a 2-year block of time. A high school senior starting Running Start only gets 1 year of free credit eligibility. So if you wanted to come to Orca, we would say, we want you to commit to the second year and you get the privilege of paying $570 per 5 credit class. So you would have to pay tuition for that second year. So we'd have to have a conversation about that. So let's talk more, Emily. So thank you for asking that.
Awesome. Thanks so much. And Eve, Sarah wants to know if their son can start his senior year, or is this only for juniors? I assume he wouldn't get an associate's, but should still get his high school diploma, correct?
Yes, you could still join your senior year. You probably wouldn't end up getting your associates unless you possibly could if you ended up paying for those extra classes or paying for extra classes in the summer. So it is possible you could get your associates, but not for as low of a cost. But you could still join. I have plenty of friends right now who I know are joining the senior year because they're like, oh, this looks like so much fun. But you could also join in your junior year.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Aranza, Patrick wants to know, can a student participate in both college and the high school and Running Start?
Yes, the answer is always yes. We have a lot of students that participate in both programs. And we typically see this if the student is a part-time Running Start student, because they're taking maybe 1 or 2 classes at the college and then taking, I'm gonna guess, 2 to 4 classes at the high school. And those could be the classes that are eligible for college and the high school college credit. If you are choosing to be a full-time Running Start student, you'll need to have a conversation with your high school counselor to see if that one class is a class that's eligible for college and the high school credit. But it's definitely possible to participate in both programs or to start one program and then go to another. So much flexibility.
Beautiful. Thank you. And Eve, Cameron wants to know, is the full-time schedule Monday through Friday?
The full-time schedule is actually pretty flexible. You get to pick the classes and you can look into the classes at the times. Like some are morning classes, like super early morning or like 8 to 9, or some are evening classes, some are midday classes, and they change up. I see a lot of Tuesday and Thursdays, Monday and Wednesdays, but there are some where they're like 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But it's up to you on what classes are available, like the professors are offering. So it just, you plan your classes on the same days, like what I do, Tuesday and Thursday, or like do Tuesday, Thursday, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But it's up to you in what classes are.
Correct. And a lot of that availability is based on you having your paperwork in line at the appropriate time so that you can then jump into the classes when they become open. If you wait and you're not hitting those deadlines, you're kind of left over with whatever's left over, and those times and classes may not fit well within your preferred schedule. So beautiful answer. Sinan wants to know, how and when should I do my English placement and math placement, Arancia?
Yeah, since we are utilizing the high school transcript for both English and math placement, all you really need to do is connect with your high school counselor to get a copy of your high school transcript. It doesn't have to be an official copy. We just need to see the actual transcript because it will show us your GPA. I would highly encourage you to try to get a PDF version of it so you can easily upload it to the Running Start online application. We process applications on a quarterly basis. So right now we're still processing for spring. In mid-March, we'll start processing applications for the fall. Just know that our priority deadline is May 2nd. So as long as you apply, I would say before May 2nd, you're gonna be in a good spot. After May 2nd, things take much longer to get processed.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And Aranza, Haley wants to know if, as a sophomore, they're in English 101 and Algebra 2 currently, do I still need to take the placement test? Also, if I've already registered with EVCC, do I need to register in a different way for Running Start?
You do not need to take the placement test. Again, you just have to provide us with a copy of your high school transcript, and our Running Start online application does ask you the question, or if you have participated in college in the high school. So please make sure to say yes so that we can look up your student account. It's not a complicated question. If you are already registered with EVCC because you're in college and high school, that's great. You're still going to need to complete the Running Start online application. That is how we know that you are interested in the program, and that's how we are going to be able to update your student account so that you're not charged tuition. The registration will be a little bit different, but we will provide you with more information about that. Your CTC link ID or your student ID number will remain the same. That's the thing. The application will be different, but all the information so far about your classes for college and the high school and Running Start will all be the same and in one system.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Artie, where's that meeting for Orca on March 3rd? Janie wants to know.
Yes, thanks for asking. It's at 6 o'clock, and the Orca campus is located down at the Port of Everett at the waterfront by the marina, right above Scuttlebutt. So come on up at 6 o'clock and you'll be able to have a general welcome and hear from students and tour our campus.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Saeed wants to let us know that the AccuPlace replacement test website in their experience was broken and had to drive to EVCC and deal with planning it in the testing center. So I appreciate that feedback, appreciate it. Ryan wants to know, do any of the application steps differ if you have taken underage enrollment at EVCC previously? I'm not familiar with underage enrollment, so hopefully Arancia or Artie will help us. Go ahead, Arancia.
That's me. Similar to what I said about college and the high school, if you are currently following our underage admissions process, that means you already have an account with us. But for the purposes of Running Start, you're still going to have to submit the Running Start online application. But what that means is that you've probably already taken classes. So we're going to take a look at your EVCC account to see if you're already taking classes that can help meet your placement requirements.
Awesome, thank you. And Sabina did some looking for us. Sabina, I don't know if this was in the moment or if you just have this off the top of your head, says that you can plan a trip on Community Transit's website. So for those of us looking for transportation who may not have a car yet or a license or for whatever reason need community transit, from Everett Station, there are community transit buses and Everett transit buses every 15 to 20 minutes to EVCC. And from Lake Stevens to Everett Station, community transit buses are every 30 to 60 minutes. Sabina, thank you so much for that. Can you do me a favor? Can you find me tomorrow? And I'll just give you a high five for giving us that. Really appreciate it. Eve, Caleb wants to know, if I attend Running Start full-time in the fall, do I need to go to LSHS at all at the beginning of the year?
Well, you probably want to go take your yearbook photo and get some stuff like in like that and talk to your counselors, because I almost forgot to do that. That's not fun. You're like, wait. So you might want to plan that ahead and things like that. And other than that, I didn't have to go at all until my classes started, because the quarters are way different and it's just 10 weeks if you're full-time. Otherwise, if you're part-time, you're going to have to go to regular like Stevens High School. Otherwise, you're going to miss part of your schooling.
Okay, I think we have somebody we want to bring back for every single Running Start info session. Eve, you're rocking it. Sophia wants to let us know that they're currently taking French 2 at LSHS, but I want to do year 1 Japanese at EVCC. Would that affect my language credit or any credit in my high school transcript? Eve, you want to give that one a shot?
Yeah, I actually know this one because I actually asked a very, very similar question. This shouldn't affect your credits, because if you've taken those language credits, the language credits are yours. I don't know why I'm pronouncing that wrong. Sorry. The credits are yours. And if you take a Japanese class, or the Japanese language class, then you're just going to get another world language. I'm correct, right?
Mr. T is giving you the nod, and so are others. Would there be any other impacts to a kiddo who's doing one language at the high school and then another language at Running Start if they're going to go to a 4-year university after that? Is that a possible wiggle there that somebody might look at funky?
Some schools in California want students to have 3 years of languages, and it needs to be the same language. And some majors at the University of Washington have required 2 to get in and 3 to graduate. So they would need to pick up the 3rd year of French if they ended up in one of those. But every college person wants to see you have a broad, diverse perspective, and taking multiple languages will help.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Solid job, Eve. Nice job. Dakota says that they've signed up for the college and the high school credits online. Is this going to be the same way that I register for Running Start, or will these accounts link, or are they separate things that will need to continue to use on their own?
It's going to be the exact same system. You're still going to be using CTC Link to register for your classes. If you use the CTC Link mobile app for your college and the high school registration, it's the same tool you'll be using to register for your classes through Running Start. It's all going to be in the same system, your classes, your transcript. So they're not going to be separate things like they used to be a few years ago. Actually, last year, I don't know what I'm talking about, a few years ago.
It's been forever. Like, these are dog years, right? Caleb wants to know if, as a Running Start student, can you be involved in a club and sports at EVCC, or can you only be involved in a club and sport at LSHS? Artie?
That's a great question. And you can be involved in any club at the college. You could be elected as a senator and get paid. You can do any of our clubs at the college. Your sports eligibility resides with Lake Stevens. So you can't do sports at Everett Community College as a participant on one of our teams until you've graduated from Lake Stevens. You can take some PE classes where sports are a focus, but you play your sports at LSHS.
Awesome, thank you. And Leo wants to know, are there any required classes for Running Start? Eve, you want to take a shot at that?
Yeah, the required classes are what they require you to graduate. You're gonna have to take those, like the amount of history classes. You're gonna have to make sure that you're eligible to graduate. I don't know if you've seen the tree of like the graduation classes. You have to take 4 English classes, 3 history classes, 3 science. Is it 2 or 3 sciences? I think it's 3. Yeah, 3 math classes, and then was it 1 or 2 world languages?
There's 2, but you can also take 1. And essentially, yes, the required classes for Running Start are the ones that, you will meet with your counselor, you will meet with one of us, you also meet with an advisor. If you're planning on taking or getting your associates, you would want to take the classes that your advisor at the college tells you, and take the classes with us in order to graduate from high school. So you will go with, over all of those things with your counselor when you meet with us before every quarter. Thank you, Eve.
Awesome. And the last question we have in the Q&A is, what are the vaccination requirements for in-person learning? Are there exemptions, and would parents need to sign off with them? Arancia, can I tag that one your way?
Yeah, I will do my best, but Artie is, I think, our expert here. So currently, we are, what's the term? Vaccine campus. So we do require vaccinations for all of our students, including Running Start students, if they are intending to take classes in person. There are exemptions. We do have a religious exemption and a medical exemption for students. This does not require the signature of a parent. It's all through the students. But if a student, we know that students are underage, and so if they want to get the vaccine, they will require their parent permission to do that. But we do provide exemptions for our students. And Artie, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience so far with the Orca students?
We've been in person. We met in person last spring for outside and boat work. And our students have just done really, really well in that context. And we've been in person full time since the fall. So we've had a great success, and the students are doing awesome managing their mask requirements. And we'll see how this next little phase unfolds. So thanks for asking.
Awesome. And the last question we have, Kathy wants to know if in Orca, would a student still be able to attend a class at LSHS? And if I remember correctly, Kathy is also the attendee who asked about band. So I'm not trying to make a connection there, but I'm seeing one possibility.
That's fun. And Kathy, thank you for asking, and Dan for fielding it and making that circular connection. That's usually the only class Orca students take at their high school if they are in choir or if they are in band. And the reason why is because there's not typically a homework load attached to those activities. And if you can make it work out in your schedule for that 0 or first period. But Orca kind of consumes the rest of the academic day. We operate from 9 to 2 for our core classes. So depending on when band is, it could be exclusionary if that's the linkage. But we really don't recommend students do any core academic class because our schedules will never align. Our break is different. We start at the end of September. We are about to get 2 weeks of spring break, which won't be the same as your 1 week. So there's just lots of subtleties to that question, but come to an info session on Thursday and ask me in person.
Yeah, and Kathy, if band is the curiosity, would you be willing to reach out to myself and or Mr. Neil Prof, the band director, and we can go ahead and make sure that that's being taken care of in an appropriate way. Thank you. Folks, that is everything in our Q&A. We are 20 minutes over time for the 30-ish plus of you who are still with us. You've either ghosted us or fallen asleep, or you're still listening intently. Thank you so much for being here. We honestly, I miss you all. I wish we could do this live. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to do this live again, but hopefully next time we'll do it live and have a recording component for folks who aren't able to be with us. One last thank you to Sel for putting this together, Arancia and Artie for joining us and providing some exceptional insight, and Eve, quite honestly, amazing perspective. Thank you so much. We'll have to have you back again soon. And folks who are still with us, you are welcome to log off here in the next couple of minutes. Just go ahead and hit that end button. Again, this recording will go ahead and be posted tomorrow, next day-ish, and then the materials as well will be posted on our website. If you have ghosted us and you come back to your computer and there's a message that says we kicked you out, it's because I want to be able to let these folks head off. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate your time, and thanks for being Vikings.
Thanks, Dan. Lovely job. Eve, Mr. T, Aranza. Great work.
Okay, folks, we're down to 9 folks who are still with us. If you, Arancia and Artie and Eve, if you guys want to go ahead and pop off, thank you so much. I'm going to stop recording at this time.